when achieving the goal involves more just going straight. Asuma and Shisui were exhausted and collapsed there. Both of them are close combat fighters. Compared to Kurenai Yuhi, their exercise and chakra consumption are much higher. Kakashi stood to the side, glanced at them, at Obito, and then, Kakashi, what are you looking at? I also put in a lot of effort in this battle. He turned his head away and didn't say Obito may not be good at thinking, but he is not bad at direct combat, which had many opportunities for himself. Many times, if it weren't for Rin and Kurenai's help, Obito would probably have been injured long ago. Cooperation with Obito is not on the same level as that of Class 1, clearly cooperated with Obito, so why is it this? This is what Kakashi couldn't understand. Kurenai struggled to her feet. He glanced at the bound bandits, waved his, and said, no need to stand anymore, everyone take a rest. It all sorted out over there. Naruto's shadow clone hasn't returned yet, so doesn't know what happened up ahead. Hey, that's about it. I'll leave the rest of the finishing touch. Quote. Naruto was stunned, then realized the thing was probably wrong. He was thinking about it. Next moment, the space rippled. Afterwards, the shadow clone appeared them with another person. Hiko looked completely bewildered. He had experienced a dizzying sensation. When he opened his eyes, he was surrounded by stench of blood, and 8 Konoha ninjas in headbands were encircling him. The first one he saw was Kyoichi. Kind of technique is this? Hiko was horrified. True teleportation, and, shocked him most was that Minato could also carry people. As the leader of Akatsuki, he knew all too how destructive such an ninjutsu could be on the battlefield. To put it bluntly, this technique can change the entire course of a battle. That's terrifying. Upon meeting, he thought he understood Omura's true strength, but now he realized that he had Omura's power, especially Konoha. Kakashi hit his short sword tightly. He recognized Megakure ninjas. My name is Yahiko, nice to meet you. Yahiko bowed slightly. Oh, these are all children, their captain not. Kyoichi already knew. With his chakra, he could easily see what Konan and Gato were doing, so he roughly understood where he returned. With Jiraiya above Gato's head, and Jiraiya being a genius in the village has been rising in years, this little matter is no big. Not, Yahiko and the others were Jiraiyaing. If they don't take the blame, why should we, an outsider, be made to take blame? Thinking of this, Jingyi let out a sigh of problem. John and Kyoichi, could you explain the previous issue again? Hesitating for a moment, Yahiko finally straight to the point and chose to ask. Jingyi thought for a moment and glanced at the panel. Thought it was over after hearing a reward, but then Yahiko caught up with him again. Do I still need to say more? After thinking it over, he said, my stance is Konoha, and my solution is different from. Why not keep your questions in mind and find answers yourself? Think about it carefully. You're not young anymore, and you're even within Asuma. You can't answer any questions. But what's the solution? Say, from the perspective of the land of Nindan, he really didn't know what to do. Difficulty. The founding emperor might have a solution, but unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Asuma, standing to the side, was completely. I seem naive. He glanced at Shisui, then at Kurenai Yuhi, and teammates nodded in support. Hey, Asuma touched his nose and remained, not daring to refute. After listening, Yahiko felt that Kyoichi's words made a lot of sense, but he still didn't want anything. He scratched his head, at a loss for words. A few seconds, he said in a but I really don't know what to do. If peace were as simple as you think, the second Hokage of Konoha would have ended long ago. You can take a look at why the ninja world at peace during the first Hokage, as he is very strong, no one dares to trouble. Hiko said, the legend of Hashirama Senju is to every ninja. It's a legend. Hanzo only dared to call himself a demigod, as the gap between him and the god of shinobi was enormous, and he didn't dare to himself to the god of shinobi at all. Though he wasn't from Konoha, Yahiko still this person in high esteem. That's right, if you want peace, you must have the strength yourself. To try to persuade others with just and theories. Put it bluntly, you don't necessarily have to bully others if you have the strength. You can also use it to get others to talk to you calmly. Like you and me, Jing started by giving a bunch of lies. It wasn't just empty talk, what he said was all solid information that had stood the test of time. So that's how it is. Indeed, Yahiko could tell that these were very useful. A special analysis strength. It's true. If it weren't for Kyoichi's indirectly subduing Nagato, I'm here to talk to him in person. I would run away with Nagato long ago. Listening to Jingyi's words, he felt as parted and the fog had cleared. To accomplish something, you don't necessarily head in this direction immediately. You can first head in another direction and turn back to this direction, which might be simpler. I understand. I will forever remember your. On hearing this, Yahiko began to have an idea. He knelt down and performed a Dageza ceremony to express his gratitude, which Star was standing nearby. Having merged with his shadow clone, he knew the whole story. These words also left a deep impression on and touched him deeply. The answers he had just received seemed simple, but upon closer examination, he found that the principles were not so simple. He had a vague feeling that Kyoichi's words bring about significant changes for Hiko. Minato couldn't help but feel a little worried. I don't know if it's good or bad. Dear Minato, please rest assured, I will never do anything to shame you. Hiko said seriously. He knew that Minato was worried. After all, Konoha the strongest among the 5 great nations, and his actions might harm Konoha's interests. Yahiko himself couldn't guarantee it, but he could guarantee that he would never make things difficult for Jiraiya or bring him in the distance. Kakashi and the other there gazed back and forth. It seems that Minato-sensei and him have some kind of relationship. But you've figured out, but you have so many people under you, and their demands are not easy to resolve. Go back and think about it carefully. Kyoichi spoke. He glanced at Asuma and the others, signaling the 3 of them to prepare to slip away. Minato Namikaze immediately said, Kyoichi, don't rush off. There are quite a few bandits still alive over the squad can't handle them all. Why don't you stay and help out? Quote, the mission was accomplished, and I eventually stole a fat sheep. I was planning to just run away, but now that I've been stopped, I can't escape. Jing sighed. Minato Namikaze smiled broadly and looked at Hiko, saying, I will discuss this matter with you, sir, and see what your decision is. I hope you understand. Yes, I understand. Please give my regards to the teacher. Hiko bowed deeply. Yes, it will. Number 52 of paper. Chapter 52 The Dance of Paper. Be honest, I thought you were going to let go directly. Kyoichi said, I really wanted to do that, but asked to come himself. So, this matter does need an explanation. I will talk to the teacher when I get back to the village. Minato sighed. Kakashi, unable to hold back. Teacher, what about that person? Just one knows who Minato's teacher is. Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin, famous figure in the ninja world. However, such a legend, how could there be 3 apples? That's incredible. He felt like his view had been turned upside down. That, Jingyi's incredibly profound and answers were not what the most. After all, there are many things they don't quite understand, including, he was only 5 years old, how he knows so many profound truths. But he learned from the other 5, he memorized Kyoichi's words. But at this moment, he was no Kakashi and the others, he was just a onlooker, waiting for Minato Namikaze's answer. The teacher taught them for a period of time, and it wouldn't be wrong to call him a bull. Though he didn't say it to them explicitly, that's what he thought. Minato Namikaze thought about it for a moment, didn't hide anything. This kind of thing, it can't be hidden at all. High-ranking officials in Konoha know. Kakashi's eyes widened, 3 disciples from villages, and, he calculated it and figured out the time. After the legendary battle that made the scene famous, Jiraiya did not return to the several years. Turns out that during those years, he was teaching disciples. Minato looked at Kyoichi with curiosity and, logically, you shouldn't know about, but judging from your behavior, it seemed heard some snippets of information, and that woman is too obvious. He replied without hesitation. On seeing Minato Namikaze, Konan's first seemed to be that she wanted to say something. He was sure that Konan was dealing with whether or not to try to encourage him in order to leave. Yahiko stopped him. It has to be said. Of 3, Yahiko is the most thorough in his considerations. Konan is more concerned about the 3 of them in their small group, while Nagato only cares about the 2 of them. The difference in attitude meant that after Hiko's death, the other 2 would be no. Even if Yahiko doesn't die at Hanzo's hands, his future will still be fraught with Konoha, with Kyoichi walking alongside Minato very front. Minato Namikaze asked in a low voice, that red-haired guy from before, did he have some kind of special close combat ability? I don't know what it is, but it felt dangerous, so I deliberately avoided it. Judging from the noise it made, it should be a technique that repels things around. Just as I thought, Minato satisfied his. Then I couldn't help but feel her hesitating for a long time. He began by saying, you might not believe me, but Ike has a relationship with Chili. Chili, ahem, sorry, it was a slip of the tongue, it was Kushina. Minato, in a moment of slip of the tongue, he used Kushina's nickname, forget Kyoichi was not of his generation and even heard of Kushina. Because of red hair, not only that, his hair is one aspect, more importantly, he has a large amount of gray and a very strong physique, which feel similar to the Senju clan. Shua missed, although he had previously visited had sensed Nagato's condition up close, so it was unlikely to be mistaken. Certainly, Kyoichi understood even more clearly. Nagato is indeed related to Kushina, his mother was a member of the Uzumaki clan. That's all. Minato was talking more than Kyoichi listened quietly. He sensed that Minato was actually a little anxious, possibly because he was worried about Jiraiya. But this matter, he couldn't help either. The only thing we can do is keep quiet about the matter and not tell anyone. After a brief exchange, the 2 parted ways. They were positioned one in front and one to prevent any harassment. But upon entering the land of fire, Kyoichi and Minato each used their sensory ability to explore their surroundings before relaxing. Safe. During his break, Jingyi took a look at the system panel. Black lens bracket complete the tutorial. Done. Organization issue close black lens bracket evaluate. Phase 1, good. Phase 2, excellent. Black lens bracket reward. Water release, rain technique, Shikigami dance cloak lens bracket. On seeing the reward, Jingyi was stunned for a moment. Although the first stage reward was ordinary, only the black rain technique from Megakure, the second one, dance of Shikigami, Shaonan's origami crits. This technique itself is only of B rank difficulty, but it represents the infinite possibilities of a ninjutsu. Shaonan hasn't developed to that state. Her origami skills are currently more disguised, mainly fused into weapons like he hasn't specifically developed the dance of her or the paper god. It happened later. It's worth it. Jingyi received his reward and, while everyone resting, carefully studied and integrated knowledge of origami techniques. As for the black rain technique, this thing is not difficult at all. The only thing working is that its ninjutsu prince Kyoichi understand how to convert chakra black oil. It can be combined with origami, explosives. Jing's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. Try it later. Minato, Konan's origami are very interesting. The teacher in it must be a newly developed has research value. I'll think about it. Minato didn't seem to mind, and it worked with him to figure out origami, offering some ideas in return. On the way, he communicated with Minato quite when we arrived in Konoha. Kyoichi and Minato much closer than before, and there is much formality between them. Back in the village, without time for further pleasantries, Minato went to find Jiraiya. This is important. Fortunately, Jiraiya did not leave the village. He was worried about the water gate, so he delayed leaving the village. Kyoichi had no idea what happened after that. Either the next day, Jiraiya came to visit, bringing a bunch of food and drinks. His expression was a mixture of joy and to guess how Jiraiya would react after everything yesterday, but judging his current demeanor, carrying a gift. The result doesn't seem too bad. Chapter 53 Jiraiya, I'm not destined to be Hokage. Entering. Kyoichi, thank you so much. Jiraiya bowed deeply and solemnly. Jiraiya, there's no need for that. I was just saying it casually, and it's not uncertain whether it will be of any use. Kyoichi was somewhat surprised. Jiraiya was, after all, an elder. It was really inappropriate to bow so deep himself, but Jiraiya insisted on it and not stop because of Kyoichi's words. It was indoors. Jiraiya brought the things in and placed them on the table, and then Kyoichi tossed a futon over. The 2 sat down. The atmosphere was different the last time we met. Previously at the tavern, Kyoichi was a junior and Jiraiya invited him in to meet him, or Orochimaru to get to know him again. This time, there are many things that Orochimaru and Tsunade are unaware of, such why I took Yahiko and the others as mates. Jiraiya poured himself a glass of wine and began to speak with a smile. It seems so. He planned to share his secret Kyoichi. King opened his mouth. He intentions, but, after thinking about it, I about this doesn't seem to be a big Boku-san did not know him. Jiraiya began recounting his journey Mount Myoboku and his encounter with the sage, rambling on and on, much like the Kyoichi had seen in his previous life as Naruto character. The only difference is, according to Jiraiya, he became wise and powerful. Toad Sage recognized him as a genius upon him and begged him to sign a contract Mount Myoboku. It's obvious who's at fault. Jing pretended not to know. Oh, besides compassion, you were willing to stay and teach those 3 because you felt they might be your children of prophecy. He continued the conversation. Later it proved my point. Gato is not a simple kid. He is very likely a member of Kushina's clan, just as Minato said. Tell the whole truth. Rinnegan, he concealed the fact that he possessed the eye of the immortal. On hearing this, Jing simply nodded and claimed, no wonder it's so powerful. How dare you say that? Jiraiya was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and then couldn't help but retort. It's fine if other people say that. After all, Nagato was indeed a genius, learning ninjutsu very quickly, and he also the Rinnegan. Though at that time he seemed to only rate the power to repel others, it was Nagato had a very promising future. He and Yahiko both thought so. It's less about doing the 3 individuals and more about doing Nagato. Jiraiya recognized him as a genius, but hid by Kyoichi, who was 3 or 4 years older than him. In fact, according to Minato, Kyoichi had opportunities to kill Nagato, but he used to do so. I have to thank you for what happened to me. If it weren't for your mercy, I will not kill. 3 are clearly the leaders of the Omega Ninja. Killing any one of them could bring a new war Konoha, which Konoha cannot afford now. That's what Kyoichi replied. He had already heard his explanation beforehand. This was indeed Kyoichi's inspiration at the time. He even considered of killing Nagato and the other 2 to the Rinnegan. But that would be incredibly foolish, amount to putting one's a chopping block of black Zetsu and Ura. A wise person does not stand under a danger. Jiraiya had no doubts after hearing Kyoichi's words, because Kyoichi's knowledge of these proved that his vision was focused on big picture, rather than just the action. It's true, but Yahiko and the others are still very weak. With your guidance, they can many detours, could even save someone from death. Jiraiya lamented, these are things I, as a teacher, should do, but in reality, I haven't seen them since those 3 years. Wars have been frequent in recent years, and Tsunade has left. There's nothing we can do about it. Kyoichi understands. When Jiraiya later left, had already spread that Yahiko had been by Hanzo, so he naturally couldn't go for him anymore. After downing a glass of wine, Jiraiya began to recount some past events in a rambling manner. Finally, he sighed, from now on, I have nothing to do with that position anymore, haha. Of course, this immortal has never cared about Hokage position. Atmosphere. Jingyi filled his glass to the brim. Jiraiya took a sip, then pulled out a scroll and said, scroll contains one of Minato's secrets. Kyoichi glanced at the scroll, then at Jiraiya. It's most likely a Rasengan. But, what's this sense? You saved Yahiko and the others. This is a small token of my appreciation. You and Orochimaru are the same kind of people, full of curiosity about unknown ninjutsu. This is for you. You can choose whether to teach it to others. Jiraiya smiled, but then his mood soured again and his smile became forced. He ate and drank at the same time. After a long silence, he suddenly said, by the way, don't misunderstand, no Orochimaru from doing whatever he wants. If he has any feelings for you, he doesn't to consider what Tsunade and I think. Not necessarily, but if that day ever comes, I will. He nodded. Jiraiya must have talked to the Hokage yesterday and learned a lot of the situation of the candidates in the exams, Orochimaru's test questions, and so on. These things, it's not difficult to get a lot of information. After Jiraiya finished speaking, he stood up, taking the sake bottle. I won't say much more. Too much isn't a good thing, especially for a talented and thoughtful kid like you. Since you're not going to drink anyway, I'll leave the meat for you, and you can take a— Jiraiya waved his hand, indicating that Uchi didn't need to see him off. He got up, went outside the door, and instantly. A flicker technique, the direction they was towards the village entrance. Jiraiya is leaving too, certainly. Instead of leaving the village like Tsunade, he ordered to go north to invest movements of several ninja villages, Iwagakure and Kumogakure, or more coordinate the operations of the Anbu in the north. Since processing is extremely important, all intelligence is sent from the north to Hokage building for processing and might not even realize what's happened. Iwagakure has already attacked the land fire. This was a task that already existed. Jingyi pondered deeply was, what exactly Jiraiya talk about with the third Hokage looks like. Jiraiya was clearly not happy. The third generation, what does it to do with me? He shook his head. His feelings about third generation were just so-so. He wasn't exactly good, but he wasn't bad. If he were to give his opinion, the third Hokage was far inferior to Tobarama Senju. Kyoichi opened the scroll. Really, the scroll named the training method and concept of Rasengan. Inspired by the tailed beast ball. The goal is to integrate chakra nature. Currently, even Minato Namikaze hasn't this. In fact, even Kyoichi himself knew this. But he was still quite satisfied with this. What's important isn't the technique itself, rather the detailed explanations Minato on the scroll, detailing his entire process from inspiration to— These are far more valuable than the ninjutsu. 54 You're really not being polite. As expected of Minato Namikaze, no wonder it took him 3 years to create this technique. He watched it all night. This was one of the few times he had stayed up all night since he transmigrated. He learned a lot. Minato Namikaze gained for the Rasengan from the tail, then tried to compress chakra repeatedly, failed each time. He considered using sealing technique to assist with the Rasengan. Using balloon exercise came later. The steps of action were all recorded by Minato in scroll. It involves more than just the Rasengan. There's much other knowledge, for example, compression techniques, sealing. Although incomplete, it is still— He put it away. This is a treasured item. The most valuable thing about is, as the founder, Minato Namikaze allowed him to teach this secret technique. Jiraiya is really generous. Kyoichi knew very well that the core was still— Minato Namikaze had never met Yahiko before. It was only because of Jiraiya that he went to such lengths, even bringing out the old manuscript of the Rasengan. He finished watching it, he let go, and the soul flew up automatically, heading to a bookshelf beside him. Dance of Shikigami. It's very simple to use, but very conveniently. The dance of Shikigami is not out its weaknesses. Preparation time is very long. Conan's paper underwent special, so it was only vulnerable to oil and had no major weaknesses. These preparations require a lot of and time. Temporary sheets of paper will also work, but results, it's far from perfect, with its weaknesses. He felt a little regretful, but after thinking about it, he also felt it was normal. No technique is perfect. Gaara has to carry a gourd on his back all the time. In the following days, he experimented with techniques of the paper dance to create special papers. Putting everything else aside, the very bad applications of the light style papers are quite powerful, especially when with explosive tags. The effect is, it's impossible to guard against. Conan had already mastered a system of the Shiki no Might paper dance in the Land of Rivers. It wouldn't have been so easy for him to intimidate the 3 of them. None of them in Shaoli are easy to mess with. The most ordinary one might be Yahiko, but he's got brains. Kyoichi is now very curious about what Yahiko will do after he brings his people back to Megakure. Communication in this world isn't that advanced. In Konoha, there's no way to know what's in a Megakure. Besides the Shikigami dance, Kyoichi has mastered certain techniques for pressing chakra. Previous water wave disruption technique involved compression, and then there's the Rasengan. Kyoichi then tried to compress the wind style to make the wind style ninjutsu mortal. A major breakthrough is clearly not an option. Vacuum waves and vacuum blades can be matched. It is indeed effective. The power has significantly, but this technique high chakra control, otherwise, it injure oneself. Asuma and the others have not yet reached the threshold for learning it. While studying ninjutsu, he did not forget to teach his 3 children. Today, the changes in the wind escapes of still water have been effective. So, now, in addition to Asuma, Shisui is also seeing wind release. I've recently learned quite a few release ninjutsu. Sure, we haven't received any assignment for a week. Of money. Kyo smiled and glanced at Asuma. Kid's been really cocky lately. I heard he also treated the other classmate to a barbecue. Asuma blushed upon hearing this. Does this have anything to do with not having right? A little bit. The third generation giving him money, so he has to earn himself. He hasn't had any tasks lately, but his are high, so he's really struggled. B-level mission was an accident. Completing a true B-level mission. Don't get cocky after completing one. These few days are a good time to improve your. He showed no mercy in striking back at them, but in reality, he hasn't considering on any tasks recently, simply because he's been busy with research and hasn't had to go out. Have you finished reading the book I gave you the other day? Sure, I finished reading it. I'm also practicing the palm technique. I've only tried it on fish. Are your parents tired of eating fish? Yi gave a half smile. And I blushed, clutching her sleeve and being silent. She probably won't be able to finish all the fish in her fridge this month. Whenever she sees fish, face turns sour. Everyone smilingly. Medical ninjutsu is notorious. Most every medical ninja starts out as a fish. Let's go, let's see what the mission is. Yi stretched. Go to the Hokage building. Just about to go in. Lord Kyoichi, the Hokage's your presence. A chunin was waiters. Kyo paused for a moment, then, signaling Shisui and the other two, wait downstairs. He then went inside to the Hokage's office. 3 generations are singing. The room was filled with the smell of Jing waved his hand to blow away smoke, then entered and greeted everyone. I was thinking of looking for you a few days ago, but I heard you were busy, so I didn't bother you. You've given a real challenge. The third generation Kyoto family entered the gate, extinguished their cigarette, and let out a sigh. What do you mean, Lord Hokage? Kyoichi knew that it was most likely because of Yahiko's matter. I just received intelligence. Yahiko returned to a Megakure and met with Hanzo of the Salamander. Took out the intelligence scroll. Yi glanced at it. Did Yahiko go to find Hanzo? Good idea. Hanzo played an invincible role in a Megakure's ability to 3 great nations. If Hanzo could be rekindled in his ambition, and a Megakure could strengthen using his name, and then expanded, it might not be impossible for Megakure to become a leader among small and set the trend for the small countries. These are his thoughts. From the perspective of 3 generations, he'd not be happy. Kyoichi put down the scroll and said, I think this is a good thing. If a Megakure becomes stronger, it can become a barrier between us and Iwagakure. Konoki wants to make a move against us, he'd be wary of this thorn in his side. Raya said the same thing. 3 generations nodded. Putting the scroll away, he said, the matter of a Megakure is decided for now. Yahiko and the others joined Hanzo and influence his decisions, making him more that might not be a bad thing. And Sarutobi stood up and took out a scroll. He was somewhat confused. I took a look. This of the fog concealment technique. What does that mean? Send them to the east to deal with Kurigakure. He was somewhat puzzled by the people on his team. In our current state, going to play with the mist ninjas would be like sending them their deaths. Learn first. Land of Water is a bit restless. They need your support later. No, Konoha is currently too few people. Sir, are you really not afraid? He was speechless. Genin, the most dangerous place is the hidden mist ninja may not be good at anything else. He's really good at crushing noobs. A Genin low-ranking ninja would be a very dangerous situation if they all hidden mist ninjas using the hidden technique and silent assassin. He wasn't afraid, but Asuma, that's hard to say. I believe in your abilities. I'm under a lot of pressure. Alright, Hokage-sama, I'll be going now if there's nothing. Jing-yi stepped outside. He savored them and couldn't help but smile. It makes sense when you think about it. How would the Hokage be completely unaware of what in a Megakure? He's the Hokage. At the same time, he could guess some of the details of Jiraiya's conversation with the third Hokage. The two were completely unable to run issues. Jiraiya probably indicate he wouldn't become Hokage, which is why they had their conversation later. Jiraiya didn't mention any information about the Nagato. They were hiding something. Kyoichi didn't care. Whether his strength was or not made little difference, but Nagato was a different story. That's the Rinnegan. Unfortunately, it's too hot to hell. Chapter 55. The Chunin exams. Were you called over for a new task? Asuma was excited. Is this another mission rank B or higher? That would be so awesome. I've been looking for the third generator again. Kurenai Yuhi turned to look at Asuma. Asuma was stunned. Then, his face, and he loudly retorted, how could that? I didn't ask him for it last time, he gave it to me himself. Aha, a group of ninjas inside burst out. The mission lobby was filled with cheerful atmosphere. The rumors surround her. Everyone has heard some of these. Whether they're true or not is hard to say. It's highly likely to be true. Asuma now has a new B-rank mission record. He patted him on the shoulder and laughed. Don't misunderstand, this has nothing to do with you. It's okay last time. Asuma gets angry. Okay. Kurenai followed with a smile. Shisui remained an observer throughout. Went by. Actually, it doesn't matter if you have the strength, you don't have to be afraid of others talking nonsense. Still water, Shisui said in a low voice. After saying that, he quickly followed his steps. Asuma paused for a moment. One's own family was one's own affairs. Looking for, but he was reluctant to admit it. After listening to Shisui's words, he thought about it carefully and felt there was some truth to them. Why care so much? With strength, who's to be afraid of gossiping about? The main goal is to become stronger. Asuma gripped his kunai tightly and strode. He casually accepted AC rank mission. The escort mission wasn't particular, but this time he explained to Asuma and the others that he would not intervene unless there was a possibility of their deaths. Asuma stated, perfect. Having gone through 2 for-death battles, they are no longer the same as they were at the beginning. I am absolutely confident that I can complete C-level tasks on my own. After meeting the escort caravan, Kyōichi sat in the carriage while Asuma and the others around outside, making Asuma quite tired watching them. He even gave it a fancy name, Exercise. The C-level mission was thrilling but safe. The enemy consisted of several ninjas, but Asuma and his group successfully repelled them. The escort mission is over. Way back, Kyoichi to new ninjutsu. Vacuum wave, B-rank ninjutsu. Kurenai's current priority is still jutsu. Among the wandering ninjas, one was slightly injured, and Kyoichi asked her to try him. Although it couldn't be saved, but it's experience, at least. It's not that Kyoichi. These wandering ninjas attack caravan, plunder their property. If they are not, will be killed by the caravan guards. But if they are rescued, they will have a slight survival. Couldn't be saved. Never mind then. Kyoichi wouldn't help him. Kurenai Yuhi was in mood, but this was a necessary process for a medical ninja. Even Tsunade can't suffer from mental illness like Tsunade in future. After returning, I will rest for a day. Next day, he took Shisui and the other on a mission again. It's still AC grade. Short, I'll do any task that comes my way and I won't complain. After all, Kyoichi doesn't need to lift a finger, he can conduct his ninjutsu research normally, he even gets a substantial share of it in the end. Kurenai Yuhi trains in medical ninjutsu, the work was done by Shisui and Asuma. They didn't feel exploited at all, on the contrary, they felt they had gained a lot. A complete win, the team was fully formed without any injuries, but soon came to an end. After returning to Konoha, Kyoichi, the third Hokage requests presence. Quote 2. Something must have happened. Kyo bid well to his 3 disciples and arrived at the Hokage building. Inside the meeting, many Jonin are already on the list, such as Minato Namikaze. Upon seeing Kyoichi, he gave Kyoichi a wink, and Kyoichi stood next to him. What's going on? The Chunin exams. Minato Namikaze spoke in hushed tones. Jingyi understood. Chunin exams. 2. It's been 2 or 3 months since graduation. There's no war right now, but war could break out again at any moment. We need the promotion of genin, but the only way to go Chunin is through exams. Konoha's education and promotion system is too haphazard. But what if I pass the exam? Udo won the exams and the competitions, but in the end he still didn't become a Chunin. Kakashi is already a Chunin. His position is unfair to others. What will happen to Obito and Rin if they participate? Third generation explained the examples, then looked around and asked, this Shin is special, does anyone have any ins? Udo Ichiko discovered, when questioned, the generations focused primarily on thinking for a moment, he didn't speak. Knows if the third generation want help, or if they want me to stay silent. There's no benefit in saying it. As for the Uchi looked around and noticed that Nato's expression was off. He looked over. Nato said in a low voice, I sense that you returned, and suggested that the third you what you think. Quote. Is this a scam? Okay. The third generation wrote and said, Kyoichi, you have a real for education. Is there anything you'd like to say? Lord Hokage, I don't have many, but I have a few questions. Only one person from Beijing stood up. You say. 3 generations sat upright. Graduates. He thought the Chunin exams would be, but it turns out Kyoichi had several. There's so many problems with the exam I did myself. This year's situation is special. Many students have been on the battlefield, and squads even have children who hold the Chunin. Their entire squad participates, wouldn't be unfair to the others. The third generation leaned back in his chair, and thought. Kyoichi's meaning is quite clear. Kakashi, a 6-year-old Chunin, although he is 9 years old, he is clearly on a completely different level of ability than others. Is there anything else? Furthermore, can these based combat tests really assess them fight their way up but don't get promoted in the end? Is that fair to them? He shrugged. What is a Chunin? On the battlefield, they served as command many genin teams, forming the backbone of the force. It's not just about ability, it's also about third generation remained silent when thinking for a long time. He sighed and said, an exam is not a battlefield, and can't cover everything. What you said is indeed a very important. You have any ideas? My suggestion is to shuffle all the teams, let them regroup, and participate in new teams. He said calmly. Disorganize the Minato and several Jonin, Hakuin, looked at each other in bewilderment. Was all that previous effort to get along wasted? We will redistribute personnel in a reasonable manner, separating them from theirs and having them form new teams to aid in the exam. We will select Chunin from the leaders of each squad. Kyoichi explained. After pondering for a long time, the third generation finally asked, do you have any accompanying test questions? Oh, alright, you'll be in charge of devising a plan for this Chunin exam. Once you complete it, I'll give you an A-ren. Just let me know if you need anyone's inspiration, and you can even mobilize me. Third generation ignored Kyoichi's answer. This kid's hiding his true abilities. When asked who had any opinions before, Kyoichi didn't speak up. After being called out, he had a bunch of things that hit the nail on the head and also offered some very mature suggestions. Say there's no supporting solution. Who believe that? He just doesn't believe. After 56 Ninja Battle Royale. The third generation has passed away. Please stay here and continue the Nato. You've really put me in a difficult side. Isn't this a good thing? A-level mission. The reward is quite good. Nato was quite embarrassed. But, isn't this a good result? He was initially worried about Kakashi's. Now Kyoichi has solved it perfectly. Organization. Why didn't I think of that? The only problem is, this means Obito will have no chance of becoming a Chunin here. Obito's problem wasn't a matter of strength. In terms of strength, he felt that Obito would be quite high among this group of men, but this kid only thinks about the front and not the back, only looks left and right, just like Kyoichi said. He's missing a brain. Kyoichi, your questions and questions are indeed things we haven't of. These young people do have a lot of ideas. You should use your brain more during the exams. If you have any needs, you can have the Hokage relay them to me, and I will definitely greet everyone with a smile in the ring. His attitude humble, a stark contrast, a scar on his face. Kyoichi had met him a few times, he had aided in the Jonin exams. Kyoichi actually knows quite a bit now. Beiya previously an Anbu ninja with a high rank. The Jonin exams was just a formality to him, and he even became the Jonin lead might guy in his team. This is where things are different from before. Kyoichi was helpless. The Chunins are a thankless task, and there's no reward from the system. He wasn't interested in taking charge of them, he just wanted his subordinates to participate to a casual job. Once the war starts, everyone can become a Chunin. Unexpectedly, Minato got himself into Minato, you've tricked me this time, and you think you can just run away. I won't let you. Jingyi's eyes were full of adation. Minato cleared his throat and said, don't worry, I'll grant your request. What's your plan? Let's discuss it here, since all here. Alright, as soon as Minato sat down, all the Jonin found seats and around him. Thought for a moment and then briefed his plan. The idea is this, whether or not there's a free test is up to you. For the second test, we'll set up the testing first, and equip it with food and weapons, ration pills, kunai, and shuriken. Just his thoughts. His meaning, simply, it's a ninja battle royale. So often, Jonin would set out from the perimeter to conduct indiscriminate sweeps, driving the examinees into the inner. Everyone was stunned after hearing this. Can exams really be done like this? I mean, for the second exam, we confiscating from the examinees, and they have find all their own belongings. Here's the problem. What if the Inuzuka or others have ninja beasts? Nato raised his own doubts. Ninja dogs are part of strength. Kyoichi said, oh, the Inuzuka clan's ninja dogs are they are not without ways to deal with them. The other Jonin nodded in agreement. The Inuzuka clan has ninja dogs, and other ninjas also have summoning beasts, right? Before the competition started, we showed all the candidates a map of their risk points. This is an intelligence test. Yes, we can also deploy knives, ration pills, and explosive tags, etc. These items can be deployed by releasing flares. In battle, everyone here is a Jonin. Jingyi explained each rule one by one. They clearly understood the purpose of established rule. In the end, Baiyun pondered for a moment in the morning, then said hesitantly, these are very good, but I'm a little worried they might be too difficult. Indeed, with the reorganization and for resources, it's much more Chunin exams of the past. Another person chimed in, Chunin exams, this of techniques would be perfectly suited to the Jonin exams. Doing this to test a genin, low-ranking ninja, extremely difficult. And Konoha could be at war with us again at any time. Commanders, if we promote a good thing like a Chunin, wouldn't that be a genin? He was heartbroken, although he proposed plan partly because he thought it would fun. It is true that this kind of ninja royale is much more comprehensive than thing like stealing scrolls. Agents, teamwork, and command are all. After much deliberation, the others realized they had no good suggestion to offer. He has thought of everything very intensively. Comparison, what were those things in the feeling the scroll is too low level? What is traditional is not necessarily correct. Naruto sighed inwardly. I think this kind of exam can be popular. You can write a detailed proposal. Shikaku said. He rarely spoke because he wasn't the Jonin leading the team. Kyoichi's plan is indeed good, far superior to the previous scroll war. After thinking for a moment, he asked, so, what are your thoughts on the third exam? It's just individual combat. What kind of this can we come up with? If we really want something different, we can put the same format into individual, turn the squad into individuals. Kyoichi said. Shikaku pondered for a long, then his eyes lit up. He understood the advantages of this model. In the past, it was always a ring battle. War doesn't take place in a ring, it's out in the open, where assassinations, ambushes, and sneak attacks are in place. Who wants to have a ring fight with you? Things selected through this kind of exam better suited to the pace of war. He nodded and said, please make sure to ask Kyoichi to write a proposal. I will ask the third Hokage to give you more. It's great. Jing smiled. As an advisor, Shikaku wouldn't make empty. He said that. So, a pay raise is a certainty. The reward for a level A mission is generating 150,000 and 1 million taels of silver, and there is a lot of room for maneuver in range. A new weapon has been found. Plan finalized. All that's left is to get down and polish it. Dispersed. Outside the building, a water gate was blocked by Jingyi. Naruto, you said before that you would grant a request, right? Yes. Well, it's like this, I've been a bit lately, so I'll have to trouble you with the proposal. No. Minato was stunned after hearing this. Just as he was about to object, he saw that he in front of him was gradually fade to a blur. An improved version of the body flickered. Shuaman was speechless. What sense is this? Nobody would believe that. After thinking for a moment, he couldn't help but head slightly. Anyway, it's not a big deal, but let's just write it. He has already explained the plan and it will only take about a day. No problem. As for Kyoichi himself, after he went to check on his 3 disciples. 3 of them were quite self-aware and stood running around Konoha. He has a lot of energy. Jingyi didn't disturb him. He found a shop, bought some food, sat and started reading. There's so much of Tsunade's books, if you hurry, you won't have enough time to read them all. Chapter 57, Third Generation, I'm a piece of trash. Sure, you're back. While jogging, Shizuku passed by the store and glanced inside to see Kyoichi sitting there. Yishu moved aside and glanced at it. When I came back I saw you all diligently waiting, so I didn't disturb you. Ji Shui walked in. He looked around, seemingly wanting to say something but then himself. He said irritably, just say what you have to say. It's not good for a 5-year-old act more mature than Asuma. I wanted to ask if the Chunin exams are about to begin. Ji Shui asked. Jingyi raised an eyebrow, put on her book, and looked at him. Oh, I saw a lot of genin squads returning. Ji Shui explained. Well, the Chunin exams are about to begin. I was planning to wait until all arrived before we talked about it. Shisui clenched his fist, looking unusually. A moment later, Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi found a way here one after another. Personnel have arrived. The Chunin exam are about to begin. This is the registration form. You can fill it out if you're interested, or it's okay if you don't want to take it. This exam is a little different from the past. He didn't elaborate, but the 3 of them, including Yuhi Kurenai, quicker, awesome, know the same. The question definitely said by Beijing number. In high school, I won't reveal the topic, but can start intensive training in a few days. Everyone was in high spirits. Exams, even if we don't win, it's good to see the strength of other teams. Asuma sat down and joined in the fun, getting a free meal. Following Kyoichi, his skin gradually thinned, and he lost all the pride in the Sarutobi family patriarch's son. There was no still water. He doesn't look like a member of the Uchiha. He wore neither clothes bearing the Uchiha crest nor constantly mentioned the Uchiha, yet even when doing tasks like carrying or chopping wood, he was always at the front. If it weren't for the fact that carrying water chopping wood had become tasks during this period, he might still be helping people a day without pay. The same goes for Obito. The difference is, the current Obito is more, and will become even more mental in the future. Kyoichi didn't mean to look down on Obito, but the man was indeed stubborn and his teaching more than 10 times more difficult than Shisui's. As for Kurenai Yuhi, a figure flashed through Ni's mind. For Haruno, Kurenai Yuhi is skilled in illusion magic, but in reality, her initiative is similar to Sakura's. Powerful chakra control, a clear mind, and talent. The only difference might be there's another, her, inside Sakura's body. After pondering for a long time, Jingyi made a decision. Range power. Once Kurenai Yuhi Mastu, she will be taught the super strength for self-defense. Kyoichi doesn't know super strength technique because there's no such secret technique to study, but that's not a big problem. With Kusanagi around, he can ask Tsunade for any time. But, Kurenai Yuhi's physics only needs to reach the stage of strength. For self-defense, her main methods are in medical ninjutsu. With this in mind, Jing already had a complete plan in mind. Asuma, continue your training as usual. The step is for you to master fire release your own. Shisui, pause your swordsmanship. Practice vacuum blade and vacuum wave. Hong, I hope you complete your cultivation of the immortal technique before the exam. After that, we won't be going on any missions. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Quote, Jingyi gave instructions to each of one by one. Although there was no leak of ins, targeted training is still possible. Certainly, he's not the only one doing this. All the Jonin attended the meeting, everyone that. Kyoichi felt that training was very. It's impossible to always have a stable weapon on the battlefield. Like the original story, Chidori was flawed and Chakra sword was broken, making him seize half of his power in an instant. Lose sword meant losing 5 key skills. Isn't this a trap? The setting sun nodded emphatically. She knew it very well. If you both sage mode and genjutsu during the exams, it will be a great asset to team. I don't really understand Asuma and Shisui, but they knew that Kyoichi wouldn't pay them. One day later, Minato brought a document him. It was a detailed plan for the Kyoto scheme. This was written by Schumann. It even explains the purpose and keys of each item, which is very user-friendly. I watched all 3 generations to end. After a long while, he let a long sigh. Sir, are you not satisfied with this plan? Taken aback. The more he wrote the more he felt that Jingyi's method was more comprehensive, and better reflect complexity and variability of war than the original one. The struggle for the scrolls was indeed. But are there really such simple environments on the battlefield? On the battlefield, even John will attack Genin. But, Minato noticed that third Hokage seemed to be in a bad mood watching it. Oh, I'm just lamenting that when it comes to it, you young people are the ones to. As for me, I'm too old, can't do it anymore. Here's in Sarutobi was always very shrewd, but after seeing his plan today, he suddenly realized that in all his years in this, apart from following his teacher's rules, he had never implemented any of his own. There are still some. I graduated early, I pulled myself out of that situation. He's not even as good as a child. So, even 3 generations, there were still lapses in composure. He quickly regained his composure, didn't reveal too much. After all, he is the Hokage. The third Hokage solemnly, we will proceed according to the plan. Minato, you will decide how to mix this. Minato Namikaze nodded, then asked, and about Kyoichi's reward. The village is short of money. I'll ask him if he can use something else to replace it in the Chunin exams. 3 generations pondered for a moment before speaking. The village is not short of money. But, the situation is different now. The war just ended and further conflict to erupt at any moment. The league doesn't have enough money. Then I'll go and draft a plan. Minato Namikaze didn't ask any further. Since the third generation has already made a decision, he won't say more about it. Kyoichi's reward will certainly not be lacking. He admired Jingyi. It's not that no one has thought about reforming the Chunin exams, there hasn't been a good solution for a long time. Too much of a replica of the battlefield. It's difficult. Very few people can pass work either. Anyone could just tolerate it. It would be like playing a game. Over time, everyone figured that the old still worked better, so they continued it and didn't think about it anymore. Kyoichi said is different. Intelligence, command capabilities, and strength were all taken into account. Comparatively speaking, it better reflects the ease of a Chunin. The biggest problem is how to group them. Wrong. I still need to give Obito and Rin some special training, otherwise it's hard to say whether Rin can become a Chunin without Kakashi, and Obito really won't be able to pass the second. At that moment, Minato felt deep regret. He thought he hadn't caused trouble, rather that he had created a lot of trouble for himself. 58. Can Tsunade make money too? Time-wise, Jingyi has been quite busy these past days. It's not that Asuma and Shisui are the only ones who make things easier for themselves. They basically just give you ninjutsu and jutsu and let you train and study on your own. As these two train and study, their efficiency in ninjutsu and taijutsu. They've basically become a stable target. The problem is Kurenai Yuhi. Ninjutsu is indeed not so easy to During this time, Kyoichi sent a message to Tsunade, asking for her advice. Katsuyu cooperated with patience whatsoever. This made Kyoichi this slug fairy even more. Of the 3 sites, the slug immortal is probably easiest to talk to. He asked about the super strength technique in Kurenai Yuhi. Tsunade didn't reply all afternoon, but when live slug returned, it brought a scroll. In superhuman strength techniques, Kyoichi quickly mastered it. His chakra control is so strong that he doesn't need to adapt. At this level, superhuman strengths are not as direct as using a sword, it's combined with the 7-day breathing. This is relative to Kyoichi's own swordsmanship. For Kurenai Yuhi, even the basic technique is enough to make up for her lack of combat skills as a support ninja. But all of this is contingent on Kurenai Yuhi mastering the palm healing technique. Teacher, we did it. Great, you go and tell Senior Shinku the good news. He doesn't need to add any more fish to his rear. A smile appeared on Jingyi's stun. As Yuhi Kurenai sat down, she felt a little dizzy and quickly ate a soldier's roll. Next, I'm going to teach you a taijutsu technique. You've probably heard of Lady. Kurenai nodded repeatedly, her idol. Tsunade is her idol, and as a female biggest goal is to become a great ninja. She guessed what kind of martial art. Tsunade's taijutsu may not be suitable for you, because your physique is relative, so you cannot use this move as a regular. Kyoichi said seriously, although the super technique is a ninjutsu, it relies on the use of chakra. It requires the coordination of these muscles to produce a burst of power. Kurenai Yuhi clearly does not possess such attributes. Just as a trump card, Hong was initially, but quickly understood what her teacher meant. For this move, you need to learn to use feet, because your hands need to form hand seals. Please guide me, teacher. After watching for a while, Kurenai Yuhi immediately began practicing. It's very difficult. Even during the process, she strained her ligaments several times, refused Jingyi's help and healed herself with her palm magic. She is not afraid of hardship. Not far away, Kurenai Yuhi was carrying a basket of food. I was worried that her mother would feel bad she saw it, so I brought it over myself. Please remind her to eat it. Oh, thank you very much for your guidance. Crimson Sunset bowed deeply. He knew very well what Kyoichi was teaching. Superhuman. The secret techniques of the Senjutsu. She's willing to learn and work hard, so I'm willing to teach her. He'll be successful. Jingyi was filled with words. He had thought in his past life he might be able to use it when a parent. Unexpected. It actually came in handy after I through time. Shinku bowed and, staying for too long, his daughter was able to find him. But, Kyoichi knew that Nayuhi had a very strong sense of Chunin and probably had already sensed it now. As she trained even harder. Seat. I must not let them down. Effort is the least valuable thing in the world. You are working hard to improve, so are others. On the battlefield, coordination and are more important. For cheaters and lunatics. Yi's secret passage. Kurenai Yuhi isn't overpowered, nor is she a martial arts fanatic like my past few days. Every team has been doing special training. Shisui has mastered several ninjutsu techniques that do not require ninja tools, vacuum wave. These past few days, he's been practicing magic. And Kyoichi's self-created lightsaber. Though Shisui guessed that there might be with ninja tools in the Chunin exams, felt that his main focus was stealthmanship, the body flicker technique, so neglected. Asuma's side is even simpler. Training and not let the Chunin exams affect him, so. He taught him how to fly a swallow. It is in from the people and used for the people. He himself naturally reaped considerable. Proficiency level is not mentioned. Among the wind release ninjutsu, he also did a wind release technique. Wind release. Pressure damage. It is a ninjutsu terrifying power, and can be called the tier ninjutsu among wind-style ninjutsu. Though it doesn't offer any advantages in terms of wind release, having another ninjutsu better than having none at all. At the same time, the Chunin exams are about to begin. He received the news in advance and came to the venue to arrange the examination room. Most of the resource points were sealed with this, and medicine was sprinkled around them to prevent wild animals from destroying them. After that was completed, the third generation Hokage, Kyoichi, is the exam room set up. The resource map of the examination room is drawn in advance, and it can be shown to students after the first exam. He took out a huge scroll. There's a map of the exam venue drawn here. The third Hokage nodded, glanced at the entire of death from his vantage point, and coughed lightly, saying, Kyoichi, Konoha short of money right now. I promised to give you an A rank reward this, but we really don't have much money. Are you trying to renege on your debt? Don't misunderstand, I'm not refusing to give to you. We're just short on money. We can use other things instead, such as jutsu or supplies. Third generation coughed lightly. Kyoichi's gaze clearly indicated that he had understood him. It's no problem. I was originally planning to make a chakra weapon. Do you have any chakra iron here, sir? Obviously, yes, because Asuma's fist blade hadn't been made yet. After a moment's hesitation, the third nodded slightly. No problem, but you'll have to add some more money. Jingyi and his partner reached the chakra iron isn't something you can buy even if you have money. This deal is definitely a deal. But to start, we'll talk about the detail. Third generation breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that we can talk. I'm afraid this kid is obsessed with money. This moment, the ninjas entered one after. Apart from the Jonin leading the team, only people did not go in, Kakashi, Hatake and Guy, who had been promoted to special Jonin. This moment, Dai was weeping bitterly, during a striking scene with Might Guy. I looked around at the three generations. Not many people participated, because some of them had already been promoted in the war, and a small number of genin who had been genin many years did not register. Most of the participants this time were genin who graduated in the last 3 or 4 years. How is Tsunade doing? I've made some money recently and off some of my debts, so you don't have to worry about the creditors coming to Tsunade can make money. Third generation was very surprised, his full of astonishment. The teacher is definitely her own. Kyoichi wanted to laugh, but still explained to third generation, it wasn't one by gambling. That makes sense then. With her skills, she can make money in any area as long as she doesn't gamble. Chapter 59, take another look carefully. Shisui, if you can be promoted to Chunin in the exam, you must give it your all. Leader, I think it's better not to too tall is easily blown down, and I think it makes sense. Besides, the Uchiha clan these things to decorate their image now. That's what you think, then let's it your way. Shisui's mind kept replaying his conversation with Fugaku from the previous night. The clan is truly complex and intertwined. I didn't understand Shisui before, but he secretly kept in mind all the words that Kyoichi had taught Yahiko last time. After returning to Konoha, he trained and served at the same time, and gained a lot of Kyoichi's words. Partners, enemies, that's right. This is the most important thing. Many people in the clan are not only not like partners, but also enemies who drag them down. They are not very capable, but they're all scheming. To say nothing of anything can turn a simple Chunin exam into a to show off their muscles. However, is it useful? Shisui was only 5 years old, but he understood that it was useless. Just like between the land of rain and the grapes, producing 1 or 2 geniuses is reverse the fundamental decline. Those oldies in the clan, one by one, regard Konoha a hypothetical enemy. Something bad is bound to happen sooner or later. Shisui, this exam is unusual, so you must be careful. Quote. Shisui looked up at Obito, mouth slightly open as if to say something but hesitated, his a little bewildered. On the side, Kurenai couldn't help but laugh teased, Obito, I think you're the one should be worried. If you keep acting recklessly, you might yourself this time. ECH, without Kakashi this time, I'm going to prove myself. Obito gave a thumbs up. That one is called confidence. He was dumbfounded when he saw the paper for his first test. An examination, why is this even part of Chunin exams? He went numb instantly. He did not participate in the first exam. There's not much to change about the writ. The question setter was Minato Namikaze. The question's so difficult, aren't you Obito won't be able to pass them? Kyoichi was very curious. Obito was just as knowledgeable as Naruto, but taijutsu and ninjutsu were exceptional, making him quite an anomaly. I hope to make him understand the important theory. Minato said. Minato has put a lot of thought to this. He unsighed in the morning. He thought for a moment, then couldn't but smile and say, won't this make the kid so anxious that he awakens his Sharingan? Minato paused for a moment. Is this possible? But upon closer reflection, Obito is able in both battles and daily life. It is indeed considerable, so it's quite possible that he might actually awaken. This moment, Obito was scratching his head frustration. It's urgent. So many questions, and I can't answer a single one. The brain really doesn't work well. Obito sighed and patted Minato on the shoulder. You might as well go back to the furnace and start over. Going back to the drawing board might not be a thing. Obito is a big problem. And, currently, Obito not on Madara's list, and Shisui's priority probably much higher than Obito's. Humane annihilation is clear. Minato took it as a joke from Kyoichi. With the exam more than halfway over, many people inside were scratching their head frustration, while others began to cheating their own methods, all of was observed by the Jonin outside. But, with ordinary methods, we would just turn a blind eye. Obito, taking cheat sheets is going too far. Let's put him on the waiting list. There are enough people for the group, we'll eliminate him, if not, we'll let him. Third generation said with a smile. Obito, he was very impressed with the child. In reality, the third Hokage viewed Obito as a Kagami Uchiha, far more important Shisui, because in the third Hokage's eyes, Obito was truly kind. He can change the Uchiha clan. He narrowed his eyes. Obito, oh, the second generation made it very from the Uchiha clan may go to extreme develop completely off personalities after awakening their Rinnegan. I don't remember anything about the third gen. I only copied a table. Kyoichi didn't say much. He had different idea in the third Hokage, but fundamentally, it was better for the third Hokage to be in power than for that old man Danzo. If it's that old thief. Who knows, he might be lying in a laboratory for Konoha's house. This point is still worth acknowledging. Time passed quickly. Exam over. Jingyi glanced at it, picked up the scroll, and prepared to walk towards the second examination room. By the way, Minato, you'll have to work hard the second round. When the Jonin are sweeping the area, take an and kill those ninjas who are lagging behind but still in everyone's. Kyoichi reminded him, he'll be reading out the rules soon, so he won't have much time to give instructions here. The woman nodded, indicating that he understood. Jingyi walked outside. Not long after, the exam results are in. There's no need for much grading. During the exam, it's quite obvious which are likely to pass. The only one that surprised the teacher was Obito. Appointed by 3 generations, a group of people gathered around. Obito looked nervous. He felt he wouldn't make, but he also hoped for a miracle. Looking at them one by one, No, no, it didn't. His heart thud. Do you think you'll pass if you cheat on? Familiar voice rang out. Voice of Kyoichi-sensei. Obito looked dejected. I was cutting the answers. Obito, look down there. Exclaimed in surprise. Obito immediately looked down. Institute. Candidate Genin, Uchiha Obito. Obito was stunned for a moment, then overjoyed. Sure, I passed. Are you happy? It's too early to be happy. You'd better count if the number of people on official roster is a multiple of 3. If it is, then I'm sorry, you're just a suit, unless someone gets injured and have to leave. He said with a smile. Obito's face fell instantly. I chuckled to themselves. They had noticed it long ago. There's one missing at the top, obviously. Obito's victory. There's a problem. Shisui glanced at Kyoichi, then looked outside, and thought. It's a good thing that Obito has passed. Didn't think about it anymore. I told you, you're celebrating too. First exam is just a piece of cake. Second exam, I'll make you regret passing first one. Kyoichi remained unchanged, smiling and kind. His eyes, however, were very serious. Everyone held their breath instantly, felt, and lined up in an orderly fashion narrow square. They all understood. For the second exam, they're here to read out rules. Very well, then, the scroll unfolds, a map appears. You have 1 minute to memorize this map. You are permitted to use it in direct contact. Swish, instantly, and crowded to the front. Map. Those who are ninjas know very well that this thing is really important. In war, many lives may be to obtain a map. Intelligence gather. The exam has now begun. This is a contest of intelligence gathering, and also a test of Not long after, finish, chapter 60, 2 of them couldn't even put their heads there. Asuma, Shisui, and Kurenai exchange glance. Familiar, it looks so familiar, a classic tactic used by when you think the exam hasn't started, the assessment has already quietly begun. As expected, the teacher set the question. He dared not be careless again, the map they just seen flashed through their mindly, but content, Shisui said in a low voice. Asuma and Red were stunned for a moment, but quickly understood. Don't be too greedy, just remember part of the map. 1 minute, normally, that's more than enough to memorize a map. But, there are only 1-2 circles of the map that are visible. There are 50 or 60 people here. At that moment it was impossible to convince others to read the map, because they were not teammates. There's no solution. Next, we will first confiscate all ninja tool supplies. Everything you need for the second assessment only be obtained from the examinee. Get ready, the formation will be shuffled in a moment. King smiled and looked at everyone. The scene erupted in uproar. Disorganize the organization. This means that former teammates may become instead of teammates in the future. The intelligence they gathered, they looked at each other, speechless for a moment. Kurenai and her 2 teammates exchanged glances, each remaining silent for a moment. Tastes just right. This perverse sense of humor is so strong that its origin is this. Already shown on the map, so I won't go into detail. What should we do if we didn't see it clearly? You can't see it clearly, it means you're not good enough. You can't even read the map informatically within a minute. What right do you have to be a ninja? The scene was completely silent. Some people were very angry, but couldn't find reason to refute it. He didn't give them a chance to continue, waving his hand to signal everyone go to the examination room. Forest. The atmosphere was silent on the way. Shisui was exchanging hand gestures with Asuma and Kurenai. Obito, who was not far away, saw this and his eyes lit up. Code. His eyes lit up, and he pulled Lin, frantically gesturing to Shisui. Halfway through the game, he forgot how to the code word. This is embarrassing. Fortunately, Shisui understood his intention, responded with it, and nodded slightly. It's not hard to guess. It's nothing more than taking care of Lin. Obito himself had no idea how to write the word fear. This time, many people are wary of each. Some people have also started to try to alliances, especially those who were only teammates or had good relationship with each other. Here, Jingyi and Mad Dai followed closely behind. Kyoichi, what's wrong with your brain? It's full of twists and turns, and you have many bad ideas. Day was deeply moved. He served as a guard in the exam, providing protection. He was unaware of Kyoichi's overall plan until he gradually learned about it, just the other genin. All of this, I'm not sure if Kai is up to this, but he's definitely not. Kai was very clear about his own abilities. Though he has good taijutsu and the 8 gates, he lacks the qualities and knowledge that a genin or jonin should have. If he were to lead a team, he would only harm himself and others. This exam reinforced that thought in. It's nothing, I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants. It makes sense, that's what youth is all. Kyoichi ignored Mad Day's sudden outburst. Her gaze was more focused on the group of ahead. Whether someone is smart or not already be seen at this point. Many people formed secret alliances. Dismantling it not only tests command and temper, also the overall strategic management. If people can be assigned to 3 teams, easily take command of all 3 teams, then they may be able to unite and eliminate teams first. This kind of gameplay is not feasible within the game, but common on the battlefield. In a life or struggle, who cares about chivalry and you don't even have this basic concept? Yet, Jingyi chased the enemy to the city of the Death Forest and then stopping them. The live broadcast is too tiring. For 3 generations, 3rd generation's telescope technique is the best tool for live broadcasting. You need to run around checking the situation. The rescue issue, isn't there a war gate and a medical team? There's no need to do it yourself. Grown-ups, why aren't you supervising the exam? What are you doing here? 3rd generation looked at Kyoichi. Although he was also at the scene, a distance from the Death Forest, and it would take him a little while to get there. Speaking, the examiners will be to supervise the exam. Golden said, with Minato-senpai over, there's no need for a junior like me to lend a hand. I've heard that you have a ninjutsu that allows you to probe from a distance. I don't mean anything by it, I just want to see it. 3 generations were speechless. The art of this ninjutsu, it's a bit to talk about. Even with such a hobby, the younger generation know it all. He coughed awkwardly and said, alright, use a telescope technique to monitor the depths is a good option. It allows us to see multiple directions. My lord, I have prepared a large mirror for you. He took out the sealing scroll and removed the huge mirror sealed inside. 3 generations remained silent for a moment. For a long while, he still used his magic, playing the telescope technique, to project distant scene onto the mirror. All ninjutsu requires slight patience, it's no challenge for here's Sarutobi. Kakashi's eyes widened. This technique, wow, that's amazing. In this way, one can switch between different perspectives and see what is happening in Death Forest through the mirror. The only problem is, it seems that the Hokage has become a tool for the broadcast. Uju felt a wave of embarrassment. The newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Only Kyoichi dared to make such a request. These would have pretended not to know that 3rd Hokage possessed such an ninjutsu. This time, the first thing to appear in the picture is Obito Uchiha. This team consists of Obito, Aoba Yamashiro, and Might Guy. This team is quite strong. Big guy may not be good at techniques of taijutsu, but he is quite strong. Obito can fill the gap in ninjutsu, and Mushiro Aoba is good at reconnaissance. He hesitated for a moment before offering comments. Honestly, he wasn't very familiar with the position of this team. He understood this very well in the morning. In this situation, I sighed softly, foreseeing failure. Obito, Kai, can these be grouped together? Ding, you only know one side of the sir, but their problem is that with three together, they can only put together brains. Kyoichi couldn't help but smile. It's a bit ridiculous that Minato put them. Kakashi thought about it carefully and felt Kyoichi's comments were indeed accurate. Vivid. And Obito, the two of them only have half a brain. I've memorized the map. First, I'll go get the resource points, then, what do you need resource points for? See if there are any enemies. Let's take out one squad first. Oh, my blood is boiling. Witnessing this scene, the third generation speechless for a moment, and began to doubt their own judgment. Obito, could he really be the second Uchiha to them? Obviously, they can't muster.